So this is what the living environment of the Hmong ethnic group looks like in Ha Giang province. So to best understand Hmong culture, we need to visit something important in this village. Here, this is a typical Hmong house in the village of Zango in Ha Giang province. So now, please follow me. Well, as I told you earlier, the best way to discover the culture of the Hmong in this region of Ha Giang province is to visit a house, a Hmong family in this village. And here we are. So here, this is a Hmong house with truly indigenous and traditional architecture. You see, a stilt house. And to go up, you need a staircase. A staircase like this with an odd number of steps, right? The odd number represents life. That's why there are, I think there are about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 9 steps, just like that. And then under the house, they put all kinds of work tools and all sorts of things that are placed here, you see, so we can easily identify each object. First of all, there's this. You see, it's a kind of machine for hulling rice. So the rice, they put it in like this, and underneath the rice or the pad or the paddy, you see what's left on top is the husk. It needs to be hulled, you see. They put a fan underneath to make the hulled rice like this here. Look. There you go. So the rice that has already been well hulled, you need to remove a part of the husk on top like this before whitening it. So to whiten the rice, you have to put the already hulled rice into a kind of mortar. There, you can put it in the mortar like this. And whiten the rice with a pestle. Look, it's like this. There you go. To get whitened rice. And after that, they cook the rice in a pot, of course. So to have rice to eat, it takes all kinds of work. From the very beginning, that is transplanting the rice in the flooded rice fields over there, on the hillsides, the terraced paddies, for example. And then besides that, they put all sorts of things here, you know, underneath the main house. But there is a very interesting and unique object that I would really like to show you right now. It is this one right here. It's this. The conical hats for working in the fields. I put it on like this. There you go. You see, next to it, under the house, they've put a kind of canoe. But it's not a canoe, obviously. It's not a kind of boat to put on the water. But here is a kind of coffin. It's because when there's an elderly person in the family, they've always prepared a coffin in advance for him or her. And in this family, well, the lady, the head of the family, she has already carefully prepared her future house for herself. You see, that's the coffin. And the coffin for the Hmong people, well, it's a tree trunk hollowed out like this, split into 2 parts and hollowed out. And then you have to put the body inside, and the 2 parts are put back together like this to bury it. So among the Hmong, it's not like with the Viet people. The Viet, they perform exhumation afterwards, but the Hmong, they bury once and for all. They don't do any exhumation afterwards. That's it. And then besides that, you also have, in the old days, they would put animals under the house, you know, buffaloes, pigs, roosters, chickens, and so on, all of that. But after a certain number of years, all of that sometimes gives off a smell that's not very pleasant for people's daily lives, you know. That's why the Vietnamese government asked them to move the animals out of the main house, you know. That's why now there are no more animals underneath. But before, it was to protect the animals, first of all, and also to have a bit of warmth, especially during the winter. It's because, as you'll see when we go up into the house above, there aren't many things to keep warm during the winter. And especially in this mountainous region in winter, it gets very cold. So now I invite you to go upstairs to see what a Hmong house is like in this region. There you go. So it's because in the past, when they didn't have shoes, sandals, or anything like that, they would always go barefoot to work in the fields. And that's why in front of the stairs leading up, they placed water to wash their feet before going up. But now, since they regularly use sandals like these, shoes and so on, you have to take off your shoes before going up. Like this. As you can clearly see when looking around in a traditional Hmong house, there is typically no dining table, no wooden chairs, and almost no furniture at all to be found. However, even with this simplicity, to properly receive and welcome their visitors, they always make sure to reserve the most solemn and respected place in the entire home. In this particular house, that special spot is located right next to a large window that looks out directly onto the beautiful, untouched nature of the surrounding landscape. And the guest sits on the right, and the head of the family sits on the left, like this, next to the window. That is the most solemn place reserved for the elderly. And that's because in our culture, we have the custom or tradition of showing great respect to the elderly. That's why this seat is the solemn seat, the seat of honor for visitors to the family. And then, when receiving guests in our homes, among the Hmong, there is always tea, of course, and exotic fruits, which are naturally fruits picked from their own garden. So in the garden, there are all kinds of things. There are custard apples, there are bananas, there are plums. What do they have to serve? They can easily find all of that in their garden. It's really very easy. And so you are welcomed in a truly very, very intimate way. There you go. So I'm taking advantage of this visit to tell you a little bit about the Hmong house. It's a very large space. There isn't much in it. There aren't many buildings. So you'll see. There you go. The most sacred and solemn part of the family of the Hmong house in this region is the altar for ancestor worship. And as you can clearly see above, there is a portrait of the grandmother of this family who passed away not long ago, just a few years ago. And next to it, there is also another portrait. That's her son, who also died after her. And the tradition, the customs, what are they usually? It's to place offerings. Here you have plums that they picked in the forest to put on the altar, and then they light incense sticks. It's just like in Viet families. But the altar is really very, very simple. So what is this? It is a custom of sincerely expressing heartfelt gratitude to their ancestors who have graciously given them the gift of life up to this day. And there you have it. And then besides that, the house is really very spacious. For sleeping, it's really very, very simple. They set up a small mattress for each person in the available spaces like this to sleep. And they're separated by curtains. But during the day, they remove all the curtains like this. Otherwise, there's the hearth. There's the hearth. What is the hearth? It's the heart of the family, of the house. The heart of the house. So there, it's used for preparing the daily family meals, of course, and for boiling fresh water for tea and cooking. Furthermore, it is the central place where the respected elders of the community gather together to tell ancient stories and to share their wisdom and all kinds of important life lessons with the family's younger descendants. And it's often, very often, around a fire like this. So the elders tell stories, but above all, they recount the epic, the birth of the earth and the waters, a kind of Hmong epic that goes back a very long time. And as I told you earlier, the Hmong are one of the 54 ethnic groups in our country and have been in this province of Hoa Binh for a very, very long time. And the Viets or Kin were also part of the same origins as the Hmong in this region. There you go. And this is the place where they very, very often gather around the fire, especially in the evenings, after they finish their day's work or when it's cold outside during the winter. There you go. And above, as you saw, there are all sorts of things placed up there. It's to have the smoke to protect against termites, which can attack quite easily. And here, this has been here for a long time already. It's a kind of bell to put around the neck of the buffalo, you know, when they are sent into the forest to graze. And then, when it shakes like this, it makes a clock, 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 clock sound. Very good. You follow the sound of this to find the buffalo in the forest, for example. And there you have it. And before, there wasn't any of this, but now with modern life, they're already well equipped with fridges, fans, they run on electricity. And before there wasn't running water, you know, but now they can easily use pipes to bring water from the mountains to the house to have running water. But otherwise, before they would have to scoop up water, they would fetch water using bamboo pipes from the stream all the way down below and bring it up here to have water for their daily life. Drinking water, water for washing and so on, all of that. But as I told you earlier, before, when they still went barefoot, they had to put water in front of the stairs to wash their feet before going up into the house. And there you have it. That's how the Hmong people live in this region, and they've kept this way of life up to now. And especially the way they build houses, you see here, these are pillars. They're made of wood. Very hard wood, very hard. And these are the main pillars in the house. And to properly support the roof, which is really very heavy, they simply use pegs and tenons. There isn't a single iron nail that was driven into the wood. And the house is often built with materials they found locally, bamboo, palm leaves, wood, and then bamboo like this as well. Bamboo, there you go. With a roof made of bamboo and palm leaves. And what remains over there are bamboos that they've already used extensively during the construction of the house. And then, after they finished building the house like this, they kept them. You see, it's because they don't try to burn them like they do with other wood or bamboo. But it's because these are bamboos meant for building the house. But they will leave it like that, year after year. But they won't use it for other purposes, for other reasons. There you go. That's it, just like that, simply. But also, like in other ethnic minorities in Vietnam, they have another very important form of worship, which is the worship of Ho Chi Minh. Look, here, Ho Chi Minh. There you go. They have also set up a small altar here for the worship of Ho Chi Minh. So he is the liberator of the Vietnamese people. He is the one who makes the Vietnamese people happy, independent, and free. That's how it is. You can clearly and easily see the palm leaf roof like this. There you go. With a roof like this, once the roof is made with palm leaves, it can easily last anywhere from 4 to 5 years. That's all. And then after that, you have to redo it, replace it with other leaves. Other leaves, new leaves. And that's how it is. So the house, the lifestyle of the Hmong peasants, those who have simply lived off flooded rice agriculture in the terraced rice fields and in the valleys that you already saw this morning. There you go. And now let me introduce you to the meal. This meal with the Hmongs, which has already been well prepared for us, is a great chance to see what a meal is like. When receiving honored visitors among the Hmongs, please join us. When we come to visit a family, the meal has already been well prepared to welcome the guests. For this meal, it's not a very lavish meal like the ones during festival days, but it's already quite generous for a Hmong family in this region of Ha Giang. So here, you can really find dishes that are truly native to this region. So first of all, we'll start with the rice. So this is how the rice looks. So it's steamed with several different colors, and each color represents something very important in their lives, in the inner world of the Hmong as well. And then there's another kind of rice, which is this type of rice cooked in bamboo tubes. So they put the rice with a bit of water inside and cook it over the fire. And then afterwards, when the fire has burned the skin well, they remove the skin, and then to eat it, you have to peel it like this to get to the rice inside to eat. So the Hmong and other ethnic groups from this region have been eating this for a very long time, from generation to generation. But now they still keep this kind of tradition for making rice. And what do they eat with the rice? Well, first of all, you can easily see around here, there is a nice fish grilled over the fire and pork, a kind of pork skewer. And besides that, with young bamboo shoots that are already well salted, which they made with small fish they caught in the streams below. And besides that, you also have a kind of broth, vegetables called, these are the local spinach. And as for other greens, in this meal, you have all kinds of aromatic herbs that they have grown around the house. And what is never missing during celebrations and for formal meals like this kind of meal is rice alcohol. It's rice alcohol. There you go. Traditional rice alcohol is essentially just a mixture of fermented rice kept in a kind of small handcrafted ceramic jar. And they typically drink it through a long, slender bamboo straw. There you go. So here we are in a Hmong family. And then over here, we already have a group of several young girls from the village, along with the village elder and the children as well. And the hearth in a Hmong house is the heart of the family. It's the heart of the home, of course. And that's because here, people often gather around the fire like this to pass on all kinds of things. The experience of life passed down from generation to generation, from the old to the young. And here, I would like to talk about a kind of Hmong epic. It's the birth of the earth and the waters. So it's an epic that tells the story of the Hmong people. And this kind of epic has been passed down orally by word of mouth from generation to generation. And in this way, it's meant to educate the young children of this ethnic group, to help them organize their lives, to strengthen solidarity among them, a life of mutual aid with truly very difficult living conditions. That's what you have already seen well. All around the house, there's the forest, there's the stream, the plants, the forest, and all sorts of things all around. So it's truly a very, very difficult life. And that's why, in order to properly sustain life like this, they have to build a truly strong solidarity among themselves to be able to overcome difficulties in daily life. And the epic, the birth of the earth and the waters, then strengthens this kind of strong solidarity among them. It's so that they can live a long life. And the Hmong in our country, in Vietnam, are one of the peoples. They are one of the very, very ancient peoples who have lived here for a very long time. In the provinces of Hoa Binh, Phu Tho, Tinh Hoa, and Ninh Hệ An, these are provinces where the Hmong ethnic group exists. And of course, they are also among the 54 minority ethnic groups of the Vietnamese people. So as you can see, you've already seen quite a bit here around the fire. Today, I'm trying to show you the daily life of the Hmong people in this village. And now, I invite you to watch a kind of dance with gongs performed by young Hmong girls in Giang Mo, the typical Hmong village in Hoa Binh province. Here you go, please enjoy. Alongside the sounds of the gongs that you heard earlier. And now it's another dance, also a traditional dance of the Hmongs, the Sabalik dance. So it is performed in this village only on festive days or during harvest celebrations. Now I invite you to come and watch, please.